Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome your host to the podium of leadership, Dr. Victor Udo.
Wow. This is good. This is good. Good to see you. Good to see all of you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for being on the podium of leadership. You might be seated. Welcome to the podium of leadership. Wow. Wow, it's so good to see all of you. I've seen some of you have been on our youth service. I've seen the little ones. I've seen new faces. I've seen old faces. And more importantly, I've seen a very, very, very good guest. And so it's going to be a very, very good interaction today. So once again, welcome to the podium of leadership. In today's program, we have a very young leader. And this is a podium of leadership. And we try to make sure we identify leaders and bring them here to interact with the people in the studio. And also to give message to those who are watching us on the TV or listening to us on the radio. Today in the house, we have someone that has been a chairman of a local government, one of the biggest local government in this state when he was about 27 years old. A lawyer of lawyers, someone that understands what it means to be a spiritual, a family, a political, a Christian, religious leader, someone that I respect very well, and someone that happened to be a part of His Excellency's team. And I'm not going to talk too much about him because I want to let him introduce himself and let you guys interact with him and let Akwa Ibom people know that we have young leaders, that the future of this state is very, very bright. The future of this country is very, very bright with people like my barrister Udeme that is here today. Let's give it up to him. Fon Udeme is the special advisor to His Excellency on Electoral Matters. And I think it's timely that we bring him also today to talk about the preparation. Because most of the people listening to us who are about 18 years old might not have registered to vote. And voting is a very, very important civic responsibility. Doesn't matter who you vote. Doesn't matter what party you vote. I'm not going to talk about whether Akwa Ibom is a PDP state, whether the federation at the national level is APC, but it's a responsibility of every Nigerian, every Akwa Ibomite to vote. And this gentleman understands the process. And he's going to talk to us about that. Mr. Udeme, we are so glad to have you.
Thank you.
Let's give it up again to him. And as a family man, he has done what no other person have done so far. He brought one of the most handsome young men I've ever seen in this studio. 3 of his boys. Not four. That one is your own also? Oh my goodness. Wow, you probably started when you were 13 or 14. So he brought 4 of his kids to be here in the studio with us. So guys, we are so happy to have you on the podium of leadership. You are the podium of leadership of the future. Let's give it up to them. Excellent, excellent. So we're not going to waste time, Mr. Udeme. I'll let you introduce yourself. You are being listened to on the radio. You are also being watched on television, NTA. You are being watched on AKBC. And we are actually on our website where we're going to stream this program. We have very, very, very many videos there. If you have the chance to browse, just go to www.thepollwithvictorudo. You will see a lot of the past programs that we've had. But today is going to be an interesting one because we have Mfon, Barrister Mfon Udeme in the house. So Mfon, please let Akwa Ibom people know who you are. Because when you were the chairman, many of them in the audience today probably didn't even know what politics was.
Yes, it's a pleasure, first of all, to be on the podium of leadership. Fon Udeme is my name. All the other one, the suffixes are prefixes, the appellations. I prefer to be called by my name. However, I'm a lawyer. Yes, I am a native, a true son of Sendon village in Ibionibom local government area of Akwa Ibom State. I'm the 6th of the 7 children from my nuclear family. And I actually did go to primary school in Calabar Academy Primary School, yes. And I also was in Enwe Presbyterian School in Uyo here, where I did my first school living certificate. And I attended a military secondary school in Calabar, where I remember that I served as a senior school prefect in that school. And after that, I attended the University of Uyo. As a matter of fact, I was in the prestigious Faculty of Law, University of Uyo, where I graduated. I also proceeded to law school in Lagos. Yeah, again, the very famous campus of the Nigerian Law School, Lagos. I was there. I was called to the bar over 10 years ago. And yes, you did mention, after my call to bar, I was brought in, there was a call to service of me, where I was the chairman of the Iberia Local Government Council. Wow. Yes, that's about 10 years ago.
So you just got out of law school and they co-opted you into being a chairman of a local government?
Well, the height that great men attain certainly is usually not by sudden flight, because before then, I was an executive member of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, from inception till 2007.
Wow.
Yes, so it wasn't by sudden flight that I was there. But again, there are many things we've been, but I think the most important is that I'm a lawyer by training, but sometimes we also go into politics to save the people and to also bring our experience, because I noticed that sometimes God will cut you out for a purpose. So as much as some of us will try to concentrate on our professional practice, often we realize that we have to give direction, try to contribute towards leadership of our environment. And indeed, it started quite early, because sometimes I recall as a secondary school student that I had to be the one trying to manage over 2,000 students. Wow. As a senior school prefect. So I realized that often the leadership thing is not actually because you want it, but it's sometimes natural. Yeah. How do I introduce myself more? Here am I. I prefer that those who know me may say one or two things about me. I don't know how to talk about myself.
It's all right. Let's give it up to him.
Thank you.
Wow, we're gonna take a small break.
Oh, and then maybe I'm sorry.
No problem.
Maybe I need to add.
Sure.
That I'm married to my beautiful wife. Yes, princess.
And the evidence is very obvious.
Yes, and she's brought me 5 lovely children.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yes. Wow. So we're gonna take a break, and then when we come back, you guys are gonna interact with Mr. Mfon Udeme. Ask him about how he came to be what he is. He was chairman of a local government at a young age of 27.
Yeah, about 27. I'm still looking for a young 27-year-old man that can hold that position, so that I can also understudy how he made it. Exactly. Till today, I don't know how it happened.
Exactly.
But I know God has a way of doing it.
So I'd like you guys to interact with him, what prepared him at 27 years to be a chairman of a local government. And then once we finish that, we will take a break, and then we'll come back and let him talk to us about the electoral process and how important is that. And you guys will also interact with him. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, you will interact with Mr. Udeme. Let's give it up again to him.
Tell me, how do we take a quiet bone to the next level? How do I feel this nation?
Do you want to see beyond your vision? Do you want to hear what other people think about leadership? Do you need a reshaping of your mindset and mentorship? Then tune in to the Podium of Leadership, the poll with Victor Udo, showing on AKBC Channel 45 every Monday by 12:30 p.m. and on NTA Channel 12 Uyo every Thursday by 10 p.m. Tune to the poll on Atlantic FM every Tuesday by 6:30 p.m. on Planet FM every Wednesday by 3 p.m. and on Inspiration FM every Saturday by 12:30 p.m. You can be a guest on this program. You can also advertise your products, goods and services, or sponsor the program by calling our office line 0902 300 7299. That is 0902 300 7299. Visit our website on www.thepolewithvictor.com. Like our page on facebook.com/The Podium of Leadership, or follow us on our Twitter handle at The Pole with Victor. The Podium of Leadership do show. Join us.
Welcome back to the Podium of Leadership. Today we've been interacting with Barrister Mfon Udeme, who at the age of 27 was the chairman of Ibionibom local government, Ibionibom local government. And today he's here with his family, with the young ones, and to interact with us, because I think they say, Americans say, catch them young. So I am very excited about these beautiful ones that maybe by the time they are 24, they will be chairman of local government. No, we don't want them to be chairman of local government. We want them to be CEOs of private companies. Come on, give it up to them. we don't want to breed chairman of local government and councillors. We want CEOs, people, entrepreneurs that own businesses at young age. We want the Bill Gates of the world. We want the Dangote of the world. We want the Mark Zuckerberg of the world coming out of Akwa Ibom. So today we want to talk about leadership with Mfon Udeme. So whatever question you have for him, let's go at it. Anybody from this side?
It's a great privilege to have you here, sir. At the age of 27, I believed you were faced with great and huge Herculean task. Now my question is, what were your great challenges?
That's a very good one. In fact, that's the best of the questions, because like Dr. Victor Odor was introducing me and all of that, my weaknesses weren't brought to the table. It was the other good side. Maybe I should use this time to tell you that I have some flaws that I have grown to notice that sometimes they become a problem for me as a young man, as somebody is growing. One of my flaws is that I'm not really a very good pretender. I don't know how to deceive. So often I run into trouble.
That's not a flaw. That's
being a very honest person. Well, I just hope so, but my experience tells me that it is what I need to work on. Because when you tell...
So you want to be more diplomatic, to use the...
I will hope so. I will hope so, because often in trying to be very honest, in trying to be very direct and large-hearted, you run into a lot of troubles because you are misinterpreted. Sometimes you're so passionate, you're so very passionate about what you do, and people will wonder, maybe you are actually having so much hidden gains because they see you doing what you're doing with all your might and all your strength. So I need to mention that Mfon Udeme has that as a problem, and I apologize to anybody that through my passion and my being very honest, I have run or put myself into confrontation with the person. So I use the opportunity to say I'm sorry. However, the challenge I had, I will always want to take it beyond. Yes, the climax was that at 27 I was a local government chairman, okay? But before now, I want you to take your minds away from the chairmanship of a local government. If you're not able to manage your house, you can manage a group of people. So I want you to take it down to when I was a primary school pupil. Start from there to see the leadership. Don't start from the top to see it. Otherwise, you miss the point. So the challenges I had, came even as I was growing as a leader. They started coming, for instance. It was one of the biggest ones was that I lost my mother, for example, when I was in primary one. You can just have a rough gaze of how you grow as a 7-year-old child and you don't have a mother. I almost got lost because in trying to find my feet, a lot of risk was taken, and we grew up in an environment that was terribly, very, very dangerous for kids. Where we were was, we had the place, was a stone throw from the University of Calabar. And you can imagine the influence of a university on the young minds. Where those days you have cultism, you have a lot of prostitution, a lot of things. But for us to be able to survive those challenges meant that God indeed was with us. So when we got to the next level of leadership, again, it was another challenge of having to cope with adults, for example, you go for a meeting and a 50-year-old man is talking and you say, please sir, I have another opinion. And they're like, come, is it because you are here? You know,
who are you?
And who are you? And sometimes somebody will tell him, no, please, that is the council chair. And he, oh, is that right? Okay, you can now say something. So we had this challenge of being very young, and often people will misinterpret you. In fact, even when you take very reasonable actions, some people will take it, so we had that kind of
they took syndrome.
They took syndrome. So we had that as a challenge, but we kept facing it by making sure that we did what we needed to do with all objectivity, and we tried as much as we could to use the time-tested principles as contained, for instance, in the biblical principles that we learn every day. One of which was that I had in mind, or I had it as part of my guiding principles then as a council chairman, that David, for example, reached where he could kill Saul, but he never did. And I believe that that was the reason that God made David very powerful, because he tested David to see, now that you had Saul sleeping, you had the spear, and you could simply kill him, and I have given you the power, cause Saul to be asleep, and you are now in charge. God allowed it, and watch what he will do with that power. So that is the kind of challenge we had, that we became very powerful. So being powerful also was a challenge.
Yeah.
Amongst your mates, you've got to a point that you can afford to tell them, go to hell. Amongst your siblings, in your community, you could see yourself as about the biggest thing, in quotes then. But you told yourself, look, I'm not going to allow any of this position to let me not be friendly with my friends, with my brothers, even those that you could tag enemies. I recall that one of my appointments as a council chairman was to appoint somebody that nobody in the entire family or village could believe would be appointed because of the face-off that was going on in the family. But I used the principle that, look, I am David. I have reached Saul. I can't kill Saul. Let Saul live, and I will live. So that is how we face these challenges. They are always there, and I wish that when you get to that level, that you will also be able to survive. The height that any great man attains usually is not by sudden flight, because indeed, as a young primary school pupil, I recall that it used to bother me what were my grades and how was my performance as a primary school pupil. As a matter of fact, I'm happy my children are here. The results, all my results from primary 1 to primary 5 are still there in my library. And my son will testify that there is none of those results that I exceeded 5th position. They are here. So
that's a lot of pressure on them.
Yes, indeed it was. Because I recall that one of them who's in the university now, each time those days he will come back with the results from the secondary school. I'll ask him, what term is that? He will second term. I'll say, go to the library, go to the to where the results are. Bring the one for second term, JSS, so, and look at them. And it was bothering me because sometimes he never could cross all the alphas in the results. But I think he did one that I accepted. At 16, he was in university. So I said, well, you've beaten me to that. So leadership is not about recommendation only. It's not about your personal effort only. It's like I started with, about what God wants to achieve with you. However, like I've stated, you need to do your own part, which is, if your parents sends you to go and study, make sure you do your part. So I did that, and I recall that, yes, in the secondary school, I recall at a point, I wasn't really bothered about having to be a leader per se. It wasn't something I set out to be. I was just doing my part, performing properly in my exams, behaving properly in school. And one day I recall that when the Teachers Council met, and I was invited, that I have been nominated because of my performance to be the senior school prefect. As a matter of fact, the man that presided over the Teachers Council meeting, Mr. Itaudo. Yes, Itaudo was the commissioner under Gospel Akpabio.
Yes.
Yes. And he
was the principal in your
yes,
school?
he was the one that conducted.
And you were like 16, 17 at that time?
Yeah, you're correct. About 16, yes.
And you were commanding 22,
Over 2,000. Over
children.
2,000. And when I was called upon, he said, well, you've been nominated. But I think there was this slight issue about my not being very fanatic or very interested in mathematics. So they said, okay, somebody raised the issue that I do more of literature, more of art. And the school threw it open that let the person that also could do mathematics be nominated. So they brought the person, and our results were all brought. I think I had about 8 alphas, and he had his mathematics credit, but just about 5 credits he had. So it was thrown open. Who will have it? Somebody with 8 alphas, somebody with 5 credits with mathematics. So that's how it came. Now, through that process, I could feel the need to continue to be the best in wherever I found myself. So the pressure was on, because then as a senior school prefect, you were not expected to have anything lower than the best. So we went into, I remember the WAEC and all that, and it turned out, I think the first sitting I had 5 alphas on first sitting, and I wrote the jam on first sitting. I was able to make the first list of the course I wanted, which was law. And those are part of the things that I can recall groomed me towards leadership. So it's not about somebody waking up to say, I want to be a leader, when you've not done the little that you needed to do. And I recall that even as a student in the University of Uyo, in spite of the tight schedule that we had to make sure we read and study, I still did the much I could to mobilize the student intellectually. Intellectual activism, to be able to conscientize the students, to be able to inspire them that there was need for us to cooperate with our teachers, cooperate with the authorities, and work in tandem with the interest of governance. And I recall as a student that I was at the time the speaker of the Bibio Student Union.
Wow.
And in that capacity we met with the then governor Obong Victor on several occasions. And I was actually the leader of the meetings and was directing proceedings. So, leadership, to further answer that question, is not something that you will wait for recommendation, and you cannot also leave it only for your personal effort. Yes.
But you didn't just jump to become a chairman of the local government. You've been groomed as a leader in different areas.
I agree.
At the university level, you were interacting with the governor
Seriously?
of the state. So you were prepared.
Certainly.
But something you said that I want you to elaborate a little bit about leadership being for service. Being a chairman is for service.
Yes.
Today, the general impression is that if you are a local government chairman or a governor or a House of Assembly member, all you're doing is to go and chop and get money. But you are saying you went in for service. Can you elaborate a little bit and contrast the corrupt aspect and leadership being a call for service?
Yes. With all modesty, I will say that in spite of the brevity of the time I had to save, I did my best as somebody who had the divine, call to save. Mine was not a case of having to fight and do what you shouldn't just because you wanted a position. No. In fact, if there was anything on my mind, it wasn't being a local government chairman. So leadership for me was something you needed to use to galvanize the people. You needed to use to make sure that you put smiles on the faces of the people. It was something I needed, to be able to show that young people could also be trusted. So it is a misconception for people to believe that leadership is about what you get. No, I will want to disabuse the minds of the young people, most importantly, that they must know that everything is not about money, everything is not about what you can get for yourself, but indeed that it is more important that you build a foundation for tomorrow. Yeah. Because if you're given an opportunity today and you think it is only about money, there will come a time you leave that position and people will remember you as not being, broad-minded, as being myopic, because pecuniary interest, money, is the least thing that should actually worry a growing person. It is about your capacity
to serve.
Yes, because no amount of money can can make you pass your exams. What will help you, for example, at this level to pass your exams and to learn a trade, if you're learning a trade, is your concentration, your determination to study. So it is a misconception in our society, which I hope with your program, Podium of Leadership, you can correct, that the young men must know that indeed money shouldn't be the basis of their aspiration
to serve.
Yes, shouldn't be the basis of their aspiration.
I would agree with that. Money shouldn't be the basis to service.
Yes.
Or to run for election.
Yes.
If you're running for election, local government chairman or supervisor is there to serve. If you are interested in making money, you take the other route, which is the private sector, which is why we encourage people here to be CEOs. But if you want to be a chairman of a local government, you want to be a governor, you want to be a House of Assembly member, that's not money-making route. Money-making route is entrepreneur. I think that's what we are saying.
That's what I'm saying. And it's important that I must add that, please, my dear friends, let it be your principle, because these are the things that have assisted me. Like my friend did ask, how did you get there? Some of the principles I imbibed as a person, I've noticed that they've really been the game-changing philosophies.
Yeah.
Because at any point I'm given an assignment, I work as though I work for God and not for man. So the reward can be very great, because even in our participation in politics, before I got there, I've interacted with all sets of politicians in the Kwaibom from 1999. I told you I was an executive member of the PDP as an undergraduate.
Wow.
Therefore, I voted as automatic delegate in the Victor Ota's nomination for second term as governor, even in the nomination of Godswill Akpabio as governor. So it's not about election. We were involved deeply in the party activities. But you see, in all of these actions, in all of these activities I was engaging, I worked as though I was working for God and not for any man. Therefore, I will want to encourage the young ones. If at any point in time in your life, you find it that you like a certain person who is aspiring for an office, it's not enough for you to tell the man, give me 10,000 naira, and that is all you care for. It's important that you pray for the person, work very hard for the person, support the person in such a manner that when reward will come, I bet you that person may not be able to reward you, but God will reward you superlatively. And I think that is what I got. Because for those who are my mentors in politics that I've worked with, they will recall a lot of the risk some of us used to take as young people to ensure that they got to where they needed to get to. So sometimes this reward, I will say, had to come so that I will be reassured that that philosophy, even in my professional practice, that I must work, not that my clients will be able to completely pay me per se, but that the divine, the supernatural is still there watching over me. God is still there watching. And if my client is not able to pay, if my political associates are not able to reward, that God will reward for all my dedication.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been interacting with Barrister Mfon Udeme. The Podium of Leadership objective here is to role model, to bring out the best in Akwa Ibom. And today it has been Barrister Mfon Udeme, who at the age of 7 lost his mom, and yet he went through primary school, secondary school, and come up on top, even at the university. Went to law school, and at a very young age was appointed the chairman of the local government. And even with then, he did not allow his youthfulness to be despised. I think that's what the Bible says. Do not allow people to despise your youth. And you are the future of this state. So if you are going to be the future leaders of this state, you should make sure that your youths are not despised. He also says something about playing David, that when God gives you some blessing, perhaps he's testing you to see how you are going to manage that. When God made him a chairman of the local government, he had the opportunity that he could have wiped out his opponents and become the only man to live, beyond Ibom local government. But instead, he reached out to his opponent and bring them. You see, to me, maybe I should speak to our politicians in the state. There was this man we all know called Bill Clinton. When Bill Clinton became the president, he wasn't first of all going after the people that were working with him, that were campaigning for him. He went after his opposition and brought them to himself. And I think that's what you were trying to do as a leader of the local government. Not just to project the people that are with you. You expanded your tent. You bring in all the other people. It doesn't mean you ignored those that were with you. And so what we need to do as a people, politicians in this state is to bring in people. We don't need to push people away. We need to, what Clinton did was what is called pragmatism. We need to be pragmatic and take advantage of situation and bring people in and make the tent larger. Not doing what that famous vice chancellor said, that we are atomistic. Time of atomisticism has passed. Time of Doc syndrome has passed. So you, the younger people, as you become leaders, model in front of them and bring your enemies, your friends, and let's work together and make this great state the best that God wants us to be. Let's thank him again for being with us on the podium of leadership. We are going to take another short break. And when we come back from the break, we want him to talk about his current job. I know you've also happened to be part of a big legal team that argued cases even up to appeal and Supreme Court at your young age. So maybe if you want to throw some light about that, about your current job, I'm sure the people want to hear from you and want to learn from you. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue the dialogue with Mr. Barrister Mfonudeme. Once again, give it up to yourselves. Okay.
Tell me, how do we take a quiet bone to the next level? How do I build this nation?
Do you want to see beyond your vision? Do you want to hear what other people think about leadership? Do you need a reshaping of your mindset and mentorship? Then tune in to the Podium of Leadership, the poll with Victor Udo, showing on AKBC Channel 45 every Monday by 12:30 p.m. and on NTA Channel 12 Uyo every Thursday by 10 p.m. Tune to the poll on Atlantic FM every Tuesday by 6:30 p.m. on Planet FM every Wednesday by 3 p.m. and on Inspiration FM every Saturday by 12:30 p.m. You can be a guest on this program. You can also advertise your products, goods and services, or sponsor the program by calling our office line 0902 300 7299. That is 0902 300 7299. Visit our website on www.thepollwithvictorudo.com. Like our page on facebook.com/The Podium of Leadership, or follow us on our Twitter handle at The Poll with Victor. The Podium of Leadership do show. Join us.
Welcome back to the Podium of Leadership. We have been having a good conversation with a young leader, Honorable Barrister Mfonudeme, former chairman of Ibionibom local government, a current special assistant to the governor on electoral matters, someone who has been through life, and life have also been through him, but he's been a leader. And we hope Akwa Ibom will have more of Barrister Mfonudeme, and even people that are better than what he is, are better than what I am. That's the kind of Akwa Ibom that we are trying to create. That's why Podium of Leadership is here, to breed new, young leaders that will take this state to the next level. So let's give it up again for him. In this section, we want to interact with him about his current. We've talked about the past. We even talked about your secondary school, primary school days. Let's talk about the present. What are you doing? What is the electoral matters all about? How can you help us to be better electorate in Akwa Ibom and Nigeria as a whole?
Yes, thank you very much. Presently, I think I'm more preoccupied with legal practice. Yes, that is what actually takes a lot of my time. And again, it's been of great advantage, because it has assisted us to be able to live our dreams. One of the dreams I had as a young person, yes, I'm still having, is to make sure that whenever there is a wrong, that I can fight for it to be remedied. And I remember that when we had the election of 2015, that brought in my boss, His Excellency Governor Dom Emmanuel, we had some persons rose to distract him, and who also felt, yes, they had a right, that maybe they could scuttle that very important mandate that was given to him by Akwa Ibom people. We rose again and defended that mandate through the Election Petition Tribunal. I recall very tedious exercise that we went through up to Supreme Court, when we were vindicated that indeed the governor had the popular mandate of the people and was truly elected. I give all credit to, of course, God and to His Excellency Governor Odom Emmanuel, who found me fit and proper to serve as one of the lawyers in that very hard-fighting legal team. I must thank him because the experience, the exposure that we had has made us stronger today. And of course, like you did mention, Your Excellency found me fit further to serve as the Special Assistant on Electoral Matters. And as we speak today, I want to inform Akwa Ibom people, I want to tell my dear friends who are here, that the 2019 votes count for the election or re-election of Governor Odom Emmanuel had begun on the 27th day of April 2017. By that I mean that the electoral umpire, that is Independent Electoral Commission, has commenced a continuous voter registration exercise, and it is targeted at those who were not up to 18 years of age as at the last registration. So right now, I'm using the opportunity to inform our young people. Yes, my son, I'm sure he's over 18 now, so he should also register, because we are all, my job as SA Electoral Matters, His Excellency, is to make sure that every 18-year-old registers and get ready for us to make his vote more. Yes. So that if he had about 1.1 million votes in 2015, we are looking at close to 2 million votes for his re-election. And we can only have this if we sensitize our communities. Now, for the information of the general public, the exercise commenced 27th and is at the various INEC local government headquarters for now. So you get to your local government headquarters and get to the INEC office. That is where, if you are 18, you can register afresh.
So let's get this right. If I'm 18, I turned 18 since the last election.
Yes, that means you did not register.
Right, and I did not. I know I do not have a voter's registration card.
Yes.
I should now go to the INEC headquarters in my
your local government.
What should I take with me?
Now, all you need to take with you is that you arrive there as a true son of that environment. They don't require documents because they are working on the premise that once you are of age and you are a Nigerian, you can vote. So you wouldn't be required to come with documents.
So how would they know I'm 18?
Now, it's an issue. I remember when the stakeholders meeting, which I attended at the INEC headquarters in Uyo, that issue came up. And we arrived at the fact that we need to be conscientious. Conscientious in the sense that we all know, for instance, the age of our children, and we don't need to come to deceive the electoral officers. In any event, it's an offense if you get there to do what is not right, falsification of age and all of that. So they expect only those who are up to 18 okay. in the first instance to come, and they are ready to rely on the information you give to them. Now the other one is that maybe you had a voter's card, and along the line you lost it in transit, or it was burnt, or by whatever means you no longer have it. Now, in that circumstance, you are not going for a new registration. You are to submit that the information to the registering officer, and it will take your details, confirm that you are already on the database of INEC as per the last registration, and they will make arrangement to print the card that you have lost. Okay. In that case, you may need to have affidavit of loss of that voter's card. That's when you need to go with that if you had lost it. Now, there are some persons who before now were in other places across the country, and they had left that where they were and are now in Akwa Ibom and maybe here till 2019 to vote. Now, you are expected to apply to the Resident Electoral Commissioner for the transfer of your registration from where you were to the present place that you want to reside. Now, there are the others who maybe, for instance, if maybe during the last registration, you actually did register, or so you thought, you had the card, but on the date of voting, your name was missing on the register. Now, that may be as a result of incomplete adherence to the steps that were required then. For example, when the last registration, citizens were expected to give their 10 fingerprints. Okay. So if you couldn't make the 10 fingerprints, by the time they were sorting it at the last compilation, then they would have dropped your name from the register, but you had already been issued the permanent voter card. So you will need to get your name into the register by going to make such complaints. So it is important that I use this platform to inform our young people, most importantly, and the Akwa Ibom people, and of course across the entire country, that for our tomorrow, for our 2019, we need to begin today. And INEC has assured that the voter registration is going to be continuous. That is to say, it will go until 2019 or thereabout. But you see, I need to disabuse the minds of Nigerians about the concept of having enough time. I recall during the stakeholders meeting, I had to correct the impression that when you make the mistake of saying we have enough time, since it is continuous, I can register tomorrow, that may be akin to a student who has an exam to write, and rather than prepare for the exams, he will keep playing, imagining that he has so much time, only to realize that the exam is the next day and he will develop malaria because he didn't prepare on time. So I want to appeal to the society, the citizens, that it is important that they begin now that the process has started. Yeah. You cannot have enough time. This is a country of approximately about 180 million people, and half of them may need to register. And if you're looking at just about 1 year, there are only 365 days in 1 year. And now, this exercise will only hold between Monday and Fridays, and between only the hours of 8 and 3. And weekends are excluded. What does that mean? It means that the notion that there is enough time for the voter registration is actually not true. We don't have enough time. That is my own message. All that needs to be done must be done as we begin immediately.
So as a recap, if you were under 18 during the last registration, go to your local government INEC headquarters and get registered. Yes. If you had lost your card, go to a place you can do an affidavit, take that affidavit with you and go to your local government INEC headquarters. If you were somewhere when last election or last registration, go to your local government INEC headquarters and get updated. Yes. So this is very, very important. This is as a matter of fact, the card can also be used as an identity card, can't it?
Very important.
So it's very, very important. As a citizen of this country, a citizen of this state, you get registered. You have voter registration card. Me, I have my own. I had another one too that I can also use when I am there to vote. Yeah. So it's very, 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 very important that you have your voter registration card. So we're going to take one question from this side and one question from this side.
Thank you very much, sir. Concerning the registration and re-registration issue, we know that we Nigerians, we are somehow corrupt and somehow not corrupt. I plead that...
Are you corrupt?
To an extent, I may.
I am corrupt. He's a lawyer, he will defend you if you implicate yourself.
Okay. Please, those that are in charge of this registration, please, let them not... If it is free, let it be free. Not something I experienced when acquiring my national identity card, and they were asking for money. So if it is free, let it be made known to all that it is free, not them coming indirectly asking you for fun. Thank you.
Okay, let's hear that question clearly from the AC on Electoral Matters. Do people pay for voter registration?
Please, we must immediately state it here very emphatically that you are not expected to pay any kobo for the registration process.
Okay.
And I think the fears expressed by dear listener here will need to present it formally to the authorities that already the citizenry is expressing fear. There is fear that the registration officers may demand monies from those who are coming to register, and that they must set up mechanism to make sure that doesn't happen. So I really appreciate your concern, and I can assure you that we are going to make sure that doesn't occur at all, because that's not the practice. That's not the directive. The registration is all paid for by the federal government through the taxpayers' money. So you are not expected to pay any further.
Okay, question from this side.
Yeah.
Please, my question goes like this. Can you do a quick appraisal of the challenges of the local government, which is actually the third tier of government, because I'm writing a project on that. And specifically talking about the legislature at the local level. Do they have autonomy? And how do local governments
You want me to do your research for you?
No, sir.
Or you want a question that will help
yes.
the rest and the
Definitely.
It will
Definitely.
help.
Okay. And in terms of the financing, how do local governments get their fund, apart from the grants that is given by federal government? Thank you very much.
That's a very good one.
That's taking you back to the days of it.
Yes,
Government
yes,
payment.
and I think it's necessary because we as we're growing, we have a lot of hope in these young ones that they actually can help to correct those anomalies that exist for which some of us were not able to correct. So, my dear brother, that question is very important. I wish you good luck in your research project. I will only contribute. Maybe after now, we may meet further for you to have real details. But let me answer your question by giving you an analogy. I know you're a young man, you know how to play football, you like football. Now, this is how local government is. It's like a football that is deflated. And the first shot is made by the federal government. Now, when that shot is given, the deflation continues. Like I said, it's a deflated football, soccer football. So the A is going out, and the federal government gives the first shot. By the time it arrives the state traps it down and gives it another shot. Now, before it leaves the federal, it will have been already very deflated. By the time the shot is already given again by the state, it has gone to terrible, deflation. Now, by the time it arrives the local government and you trap it, no matter the shots you may kick, the deflation will not allow it to move very fast. So that is the story of the Nigerian local government. A state tier of government that is very deprived, a state tier of government that is designed to have stillbirth, to the extent that even the functions of the local government is not spelled out elaborately, except for being mentioned. There is no structure that is really spelled out. You have it in one of the provisions of the Constitution of 1999 as amended, that a democratically elected system of a local government administration is guaranteed. And that's the beginning and the end of it. Nobody says the duration, the period. In fact, it got to a point where even the conduct, for instance, of the elections are not, controlled by the federal government. They are all within the states. So the challenges facing the local government is something that will need legislative assistance in terms of amendment or elaborate legislation to guide it. Now, in terms of the autonomy, it may exist by way of the name, but in practice, the local government will need to, for instance, because of the law, work together with the state government. And again, because the revenue for you to even run the local government, often you need to rely on the federal government, may not be enough. So, it may also be necessary for the state, often like is presently going on, to intervene. So the local government system, as it presently stands, is not autonomous. It depends a lot on the federal and on the state. However, some local governments are strong enough to generate some revenue, but the many others are not able to. Yet the burden on the local government is very much. So I may propose through this medium that we will need to strengthen the local government, because from my experience, it's actually the closest level of governance to the people.
Well, I don't know. I wish we have more than 24 hours in any given day, or we have more time in this studio. But Barrister, I think we have to bring you back. You know, this local government discussion is just a beginning, because I think it was one of the speakers of the American House that says every politics is local.
Yes.
So every politics, every development, every activity is local. We really need to find ways to make the local government work. And that's why I don't condemn any of you if you aspire to be a councillor. But if you go there, let's go to make it work. Yes, I understand the deflation from the federal to the state. But the land is still in the local government. And that's why I believe the federal and the state government is telling everybody to go to the farm. Because the local government...
I think it's a good opportunity here for me to also make this very important point.
Sure.
Please, my dear young people, it is not actually the best for a young man to set out maybe from the secondary school or university and say, I want to be a counselor, I want to be a chairman. With all respect, please, I never had that in mind. So nobody must go home and quote that there is one Fonudeme who was chairman, he was a young man, so I can be. No, please. If you set out like that, you're missing the point. What a young man, like I have said, must seek to do is that at any point in time of his life, if he is given any opportunity, whether to read his books, whether to learn how to sew dresses, whether to learn how to do anything, he must give his best. Yes. That is the message I wanted to go with.
So be a good leader in whatever you're doing. And then if people find you good enough, they can call you to serve.
That's the point.
Local government chairman is service. Councillor is service. A barrister is service. Senior special assistant, commissioner, special assistant, PA, all of those are service. But if you want to make money, Dakada and be a CEO. God bless you for being on the podium of leadership. Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.